My name is Natalie Smith. I've been married to Harry for 7 years. We have one elementary school-aged daughter between us. I never thought it possible to love someone so much it doesn't hurt to have them in your eyes, but becoming a mother really made me feel that way. However, as soon as it was known our first child was a girl, my mother-in-law immediately started demanding we have another. Apparently, a girl just wasn't enough. Yet, considering Harry's family is all about white-collar jobs with nothing specific to pass on, there really wasn't a need for such pressure. Why aren't you having a second one? That's what I'm told every time we visit Harry's parents. We're just letting nature take its course. Leaving it to nature isn't good enough. You must have a boy no matter what. Despite these demands, Harry has become uncooperative about having more children, feeling one is enough. Even when I convey what his mother says, he just replies, just ignore her. She'll give up eventually. About 2 years after we got married, there was talk of moving in with my mother-in-law, which I reluctantly agreed to despite feeling down about it. And yet, she wouldn't even dote on her own granddaughter. And sure enough, I was criticized daily about our child. Still no luck this month? You're really a terrible wife. Why can't you have children? Don't you want to? I couldn't possibly say that Harry wasn't trying. Tired of being the only one blamed. I was at my wit's end when my mother-in-law said something outrageous. Harry is going to remarry with Hannah. Remarry with Hannah? Who is that? Didn't Harry tell you? No. Harry's lover. What? Looking at Harry, he seemed uninvolved, possibly playing a game on his phone. I looked back at my mother-in-law. Is she losing her mind? As I was puzzled, my mother-in-law shouted. So hurry up and leave. Harry hasn't said anything about it. And yet you're telling me to leave? Annoyed, my mother-in-law called Harry over and forced him to join the conversation. Even though she made him join, there was no way he had a mistress. That's what I thought. But then... Oh, talking about Hannah? Yeah, I'm gonna remarry her, so we're getting a divorce. He said it as casually as if deciding to buy potatoes instead of radishes. What do you mean? What do I mean? There's no what about it. Move out quickly. My new wife is coming. Can you explain, please? Mom already told you. My new wife is coming. So, you were cheating? It's not cheating. That's right, it's serious. When did this person even come into the picture? That's betrayal. It can't be helped. It's because you wouldn't have children. Are you saying you cheated because I didn't have children? And Mom, you knew about this? Yes. That's why I've always been saying you should have a boy. But you just left it to nature and didn't try, so this happened. Here, the divorce papers. Sign them. Somehow, Harry had the divorce papers ready, pulling them from a drawer and placing them on the table before going back to his phone. All this and you're on your phone playing games? It's not a big deal, right? Just a matter of signing the divorce papers. I can't understand how it's come to this. Mom keeps going on about children, but you haven't even tried. You say we need a boy, but with you being so uncooperative, how can we have any kids? Oh, blaming Harry now? It's your fault, isn't it? Why is it my fault? It's settled then. If the husband isn't interested, it's the wife's fault. What? What kind of logic is that? That's why I was against this marriage. You were too old when you got married, you know? You were 28. I was worried you were too old to have children. And look what happened. We did have a child, our daughter. That's not good enough. Girls will eventually marry and leave. They're no use to us. Children aren't born to be useful, are they? Really cheeky. That's why I hate it when people get older and become insolent. Terrible. I've listened to everything Harry said, trying to keep the peace at home without arguing. You know, that's what's boring about you. Excuse me? Boring? Yeah. Whether you like it or not, you just agree with everything I say with a yes, yes. That's boring. On the other hand, she has her own opinions. I like that about her. Can you believe it? I've accepted living with my mother-in-law and never talked back, no matter what she said. All for the sake of my husband. And he finds that boring. Besides, we can't expect a boy with you. I'm done hoping for that from you. After all, you're 35. It's impossible no matter how hard you try. Harry would prefer a younger woman anyway. My mother-in-law said, mocking me. Then it hit me. Ever since I got married, I've been ridiculed and endured my mother-in-law's harsh words. Compared to the other wives in the neighborhood, I was told I was a failure, criticized for my cooking tastes, and scolded for not being able to educate our child when she made noise, despite getting older. Harry never took my side when I asked for help. What were those 7 years of endurance for? And now, to top it all off, he's having an affair. When did the affair start? Where did you meet this Hannah? Let's see, about a year after we got married, so 6 years ago? 6 years ago? Around the time I gave birth? Yeah. After all, like Mom said, younger women's skin feels better. How low can you go? Where did you meet her? Mom introduced us. Your mom did? She was working part-time at the store we always go to, and Mom thought she'd be perfect for me. So, she approached her. Does she know you're married? Yeah, she knows. But she said it's fine if we're getting a divorce. So, she knew and still had an affair. How old is she? Being so curious is just setting yourself up for disappointment. Can we drop it now? No. My husband was taken from me. I have the right to ask, don't I? Fine. She's 30. That's 10 years younger than you? That's why she'll probably give us a healthy baby. So, you encouraged his affair just to have a baby? Well, once she has the baby, they can just live as a family. I'm not thinking it ends with just having the baby. Proof of that is, I'm telling you to leave because you can't have one. That's terrible. The girl on the other side wants to get married too. All that's left is for you to leave. So, hurry up and write it down. Pointed at the divorce papers, I was pressured to sign quickly. Hurry up, they kept saying, until I couldn't think anymore. Then, I saw my daughter at the corner of my eye. She was standing at the doorway, looking worried. Our daughter is watching. Huh? It's not good to discuss this in front of the child. Let's postpone it to another day. Oh, it's fine. It saves the trouble of explaining. Plus, after the divorce, she'll have to understand her parents' separation anyway. Children can get hurt by this. It's okay. This kind of thing happens in every family. Parental divorce is normal nowadays. I found myself staring at my husband. What is he saying? Doesn't he care about the child at all? That's when I felt foolish for clinging to these people. Suddenly, another part of me seemed to say just sign it and get it over with, and I found myself signing the divorce papers. Here, I've signed it. This is okay, right? Tossing the pen down as if throwing it away, my mother-in-law picked up the divorce papers and looked them over. Yes. This is fine. Now, please leave. What? It's ridiculous to stay in the same house after a divorce, right? The new wife wouldn't want that, obviously. So, please leave. Surely you can't mean right away. Well, from our side, we'd like you to leave as soon as possible. We have a child. It's not that easy to just leave. Well, I thought signing meant you were ready for that. To think you weren't prepared at all. Then, leave within a week. That's okay with you, Mom? Can't be helped. The moment I signed, it felt like the past 7 years were erased with an eraser, sending chills down my spine as I took my daughter's hand and went into the bedroom. Then, humming a tune, Harry left the house, perhaps to see that woman. It seemed my mother-in-law followed suit, possibly off to a friend's place, as I heard the front door opening and closing. The house became eerily quiet all at once, the only sound being the hum of the refrigerator, which seemed especially cold. My daughter clung to me, crying. It's okay, there's nothing to worry about. We won't let it end like this. Yes, we'll start everything from here. I reassured myself and picked up my phone to make a call. Before a week passed, I had finished packing and arranged for a truck. The entrance was piled with cardboard boxes. Seeing them, Harry and my mother-in-law clearly showed their pleasure. Finally leaving, huh? Well, that took long enough. But look at all those boxes. You're not saying you're taking the appliances too, are you? Can't you see? Not a single appliance is missing. How spiteful. I can see, but just to be sure. Some of them are for my daughter. It was bound to be this much. Shows how much I've spent on them until now. What a waste that was. Truly. Wasted money on those who were no help at all. Hope you're not leaving anything behind. Don't ask to send it if you forget something. I'm fine. Well, if you say so. The house will be more spacious now. It was suffocating before, but it feels refreshing now. As the truck arrived and they began loading it, the two sat on the living room couch, my mother-in-law turning on the TV. Harry didn't even seem to care about saying goodbye to his daughter, just played games on his phone. What kind of people are they? Not even a farewell to their daughter, cold until the very end. Though it hurt a bit, that feeling faded too. Thinking it's all over and a new beginning awaits made me feel surprisingly refreshed. My daughter, holding her stuffed animal, watched intently as I gave instructions to the movers. Her face was filled with insecurities, her eyes brimming with tears. It's okay, there's nothing to worry about. With that thought, I stroked my daughter's head. Once all the luggage was loaded onto the truck, Harry and my mother-in-law came to the front door. Is it done? Yes, it's finished. Ah, finally leaving. Now I can call her over. Yes, finally. Thank you for everything. Yeah, just hurry up and leave. It feels odd to say goodbye at the front door, given everything that has happened. Could you come to the truck with us? Huh? Why should we do that? We've been a family for 7 years. I thought it's the least we could do. This is goodbye, after all. Seriously. You're too earnest in the weirdest ways. We just want you to leave. Yes, that's why I'm asking you to come to the truck. I don't wish to prolong our farewell either. Mom, it's fine. It's over after this. Oh, is that so? Well, if Harry says so, it can't be helped. With that, my mother-in-law slipped on her sandals left at the entrance and stepped outside. Following her, Harry put on the last remaining sandal and went out. I took my daughter's hand, walked out of the entrance, and gave the movers a firm nod. Then, the mover said, "Please get on." What? Why do I have to get on? It's okay, ma'am, please get on as well. Wait, why do I have to get on? You need to. You'll understand once you're on. Wait. No, what are you talking about? The movers pushed the two onto the truck as if loading them. Despite their resistance, fearing a scene might attract the neighbors, they were concerned about appearances and couldn't protest loudly. Thus, they ended up getting on the truck. Harry! What is this all about? I have no idea either. But making a scene now would just be embarrassing, so let's just get on and we can come back later. That makes sense. It would be nice if you could come back. Saying that, I closed the truck door and waved goodbye to my daughter. The mover started the engine and drove the truck away. My daughter looked puzzled as she watched the truck drive off, but I turned to her with a smile and asked, "How about we have some snacks?" Once inside, I calmed my daughter down by bringing out the snacks I had bought. It was an oddly out-of-place small cake. Let's eat. While eating the cake, I explained to my daughter that her father and grandmother had moved out. My little girl must have thought she was the one leaving the house. She was surprised by the sudden turn of events, but I reassured her that everything was going to be okay. Then, a smile returned to her face. Apparently, she wasn't sad about the departure of her overbearing father and cold grandmother. It seemed she could tell who was in the wrong. About an hour later. Just as I expected, Harry contacted me. Hey! What's all this about? Oh, you've arrived already? Yeah, I've arrived. But this is her apartment, isn't it? That's right. Since you wanted to live with her, I sent you to her place. You should be grateful. Grateful? How can I be grateful for this? How did you even know this place? It's simple. A detective can find out that much if you ask. A detective? I needed the address to send you off, after all. You're the one who's supposed to be leaving. I never said I was leaving. From today, please live there with her. Lucky you, getting to live with her so soon. Huh? Don't mess with me. I'm not joking at all. Completely serious. Why would you do this? My home is there. That's right. That was our home. What right do you have to do this? It seemed they were on speakerphone, as I could annoyingly hear my mother-in-law's voice. No. You seem to be misunderstanding something, but this house is mine. Don't joke with me. The one joking is you, Mom. Introducing a mistress to your husband and encouraging an affair. I can't believe you did something so stupid. We're not talking about that now. You were supposed to leave when we divorced. So, it's decided that you, the wife, are the one to leave. Maybe you haven't been told? Told what? Mom, where are you yelling from? It's disturbing the neighbors. Shut up. The movers have left all the boxes piled up in front of the apartment. If left like this, your belongings will all get wet from the dew. If you don't want that, you should come. I don't think I need to go, since all the contents of those boxes are yours. What? That's impossible. My mother-in-law continued to scream hysterically. You're being shameful. You're going to live there now, and you don't want the neighbors to think a crazy old lady has moved in, do you? Who's crazy? Just live there from today onwards. We're strangers to you now. No, we're going back home. We'll kick you out of that house. That won't be possible. If you enter the house without permission, I'll sue you for trespassing. What kind of woman are you? You're the one who's crazy. Harry could tell you if you asked. Why don't you ask him? Ask what? Whose house it is. I don't need to ask. That house was bought by Harry after we got married. It was secondhand, but it was nice enough. That's why I moved in with him. Oh dear, what a big lie. You were lied to quite spectacularly. But from someone who lies so easily about having an affair, I guess that's just another lie, right? What do you mean? Actually, this house was built by my parents before we got married. After they passed away, I was living here alone. When we decided to get married, I didn't want to leave my family home, so Harry said we could live here. When you said you wanted to move in after we got married, I thought, well, it's a big house, so why not? That's a lie! Harry said he bought it, even if it was secondhand, so we could live together. Think about it. How could Harry afford such a big house on his salary? And to move in right at the time of our marriage? We were barely able to pay for the wedding. That's impossible! So, this house is mine. You have no right to claim it. Maybe you should ask Harry? Harry, what does this mean? From the other end of the phone, I could hear my mother-in-law's voice trembling. But Harry, as usual, seemed to be playing his game, pretending not to hear. Harry! Stop playing your game and answer. Harry probably can't hear when it's inconvenient for him. Must be really inconvenient now that his lies have been exposed. Harry! Say something. Are you going to let that woman make a fool of you? All right, I got it. A faint voice from Harry could be heard, and then he took over, presumably from my mother-in-law, to make his claim. Sure, it was your parents' house, but now that I'm living here, it's mine. It sounded like a child's argument. You were only allowed to live here because you were married to me, right? That's why I had allowed it. And the same goes for your mother. Well, that's true, but... Yet, you lied about buying it. Saying such things doesn't make it yours. The deed to this house is all in my name. But when we divorce, aren't assets supposed to be split in half? That's true. But such a topic never came up until now. However, this house was inherited by me before our marriage. Even if it was inherited after marriage, it's something I inherited. That means it doesn't become marital property. Too bad for you. So, there's no need to split it in half. That's a lie! If you think it's a lie, you could look it up. I'm only saying what I've been told by a lawyer. Realizing she might lose this argument, my mother-in-law butted in again. But, what about appliances and furniture? Those need to be split, right? Typically, yes. But all the appliances and furniture in our house were used by my parents. Of course, some items were replaced, like a toaster for about $60. Did you want it? Shall I give you $30 for it, or would you give me $30 and take the worn-out actual item? I don't want it! Oh, the junk Harry brought when he moved in is packed in cardboard boxes. And all of your stuff too. It's all packed in boxes. They were things one would normally throw away, but since you two cherish belongings so much, I didn't want to be complained at for throwing them away. So, rest assured, everything's packed. Well, thank you. Thanks to that, the moving costs were no joke. It was quite expensive. But since all the appliances are mine and I didn't have to pay for their transport, that's a relief. So, that's why the mover charged me that amount. It was expensive, wasn't it? I was surprised when I saw the estimate too. But it's not money I need to worry about paying. And there's still so much left. Yes, indeed. After all, most of it was practically garbage. Like socks with holes, worn-out sneakers, and stretched-out t-shirts. You should have thrown those out. Oh, what did you say when I asked if I should throw them away? It's wasteful, that's the problem with throwing everything away. You said that, right? Yet, you never wore them again and kept buying new ones. So, I couldn't throw them away, but do you have any complaints? So, you're saying we have to live in this cramped apartment? I don't know about it being cramped, but you wanted to live with her, right? That's good for you, isn't it? There's so much stuff, it's impossible in this apartment. Well, that's unavoidable, isn't it? You and your mom chose to have a mistress. Hey, that's too harsh. The divorce is finalized, so it's no longer my concern. And it's not over yet. There are still things to be done, so be prepared. Wait, what else is there? My words surprised my husband and mother-in-law, but I hung up the phone laughing. Sometime later, Harry called me with a voice full of anguish. It seems he got scolded by his mistress. What's the meaning of this? I wasn't expecting you to just show up. I didn't think it would come to this either. She sent our stuff and us here. Then take it back. With all this stuff? That's not so easy, is it? I don't care. I thought when your ex-wife left, you'd live in your spacious house, not here. That was the plan, but it didn't work out. Why not? That house is yours, isn't it? Just take it back. Well, actually, it turns out it's in my ex-wife's name. What? You said it was in your name. Yeah, but, well, there were circumstances. I thought it'd be too sad to not give her the house if we divorced. That's ridiculous. So, what about us? How are we supposed to live in such a tiny place? Especially with all these boxes? Yeah, that's true. So, we can't live in that house? Yeah, well, that's how it is. Then buy a house. If that's not possible, rent a spacious apartment right now. With your salary. No, that might be a bit difficult. Seriously, this place is so noisy. Complaining won't change anything. Now that it's come to this, we have to live here. What? Are you serious about living here? Then you should pay 2/3 of the rent. Why does it come to that? Obviously. You show up with your mother-in-law unannounced, planning to live together, and we're not even married. If we're going to live together, you should pay your share of the rent. And that goes for groceries and utilities too, you should pay your share of everything. What a cunning woman. Cunning, you say? It's much more cunning to try and live together without paying anything. Besides, isn't 90% of this stuff your mother's? I don't even know what's in these boxes, but do you really need all this? Isn't it filled with things you don't even want? I'd want a storage fee for all this stuff taking up most of the space. I never thought she would say such a thing. That's how it is, and I'm not even married yet, but I'm already sick of coming back to this apartment because of the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law war. Wow, sounds like fun. It's no joke. Mom says she hates living with such a woman. She refuses to accept such a person as her mother. It's so bad that we get complaints from the neighbors about the noise. I figured as much. I can't even count how many times I wanted to yell at that mother-in-law while living with her. Yet, I endured it for the sake of my husband. Why should I have to endure this when we're not even married? And then there's child support. Well, since I'll be raising our child, it's only natural I ask for child support. I can't pay that. If I paid that, I wouldn't even be able to afford to move. Then don't pay it. If that's the case, I'll just hire a lawyer. Just be prepared, though, because if I hire a lawyer, it's going to cost you even more. The lawyer I'll hire is quite skilled. And you'll be billed for the lawyer's fees too. Why? Because they're skilled. Please, don't charge me for all this. From behind Harry's pleading, the yelling of the mistress and mother-in-law could be heard. Later on, he never paid child support. Realizing this wasn't going to work, I decided to hire a lawyer. The lawyer, as reputed, was very skilled, demanding a lump sum for the alimony and setting up a monthly payment for child support. But considering Harry's irresponsibility, I had it arranged that if he missed a payment for even a month, his wages would be garnished. The mistress was furious, wondering why she had to pay such a thing, leading to even more battles. Despite the mistress blaming my mother-in-law for initiating contact, and my mother-in-law arguing that becoming the mistress despite knowing he was married was her own fault. The mistress eventually couldn't stand it anymore. She kicked them both out. After being kicked out, the two of them stayed in a motel for a while, but tired of it, as my mother-in-law kept complaining, they eventually managed to sign a lease on a cheap apartment. However, the apartment they ended up with has a cemetery for a neighbor, promising some cool and quiet nights. But such comments can only be made by those who don't live there. The mother-in-law, who spends her days in the apartment, kept saying it felt eerie. Still, Harry tried to soothe her by saying at least they had a futon to sleep on, but it seems her hysteria was to an abnormal level, leaving no room for rest even when tired from the day. In such a state, it's no wonder Harry's mental health deteriorated. He's now suffering from depression, unable to work or even go outside. It's tough that the child support isn't being paid, but considering how they disregarded me and my daughter, I can't help but think they deserve to struggle. Meanwhile, in the house that my husband and mother-in-law vacated, my daughter and I are living a relaxed life. Our days are peaceful and filled with happiness, undisturbed by anyone. Divorcing was a wonderful decision, I mused to myself.